What's up, you guys? Charlie here from MAPerformance, and as you can see today, we've got the Q60 back here behind me. Tiny rolled his toolbox out here, and we're gonna go ahead and get started on making our first modifications to this car. We've only had it for a few days, but we couldn't wait to get started. So today we're gonna go ahead and install the heat exchanger for this car from AMS. Huge shout out to them. They're gonna be a huge partner in this build, as you guys already know. And so today what we're doing is we're starting to prepare the car for when they come up here to do like a big tour of the building, and we're gonna be doing some remote tuning with their tuners down in Chicago. Yes, I know it's a little weird because they're gonna be here, but we're remote tuning the car. You'll see. Anyways, if you guys are interested in any Q60 parts for your car, go ahead and check the link down in the description. It'll take you to our site where we've got all the parts you need and more. And if there's parts that you know that you would like to get for your Q60 that aren't currently available, go ahead, leave a comment down below and let us know what parts you're having a hard time getting so we can make that a little bit easier for you. Anyways, we're gonna jump right in and start taking this thing apart so we can get the heat exchanger installed. Here we go.
I mean, we were just sitting back, you know, chopping it up, reminiscing about the good old days.
First thoughts?
It's a bad girl if I've ever seen one.
Quality, 10 out of 10. Obviously, you gotta love the branding. People ask us about putting that on our intercoolers all the time. Don't hate me, I know this isn't an intercooler.
I mean, it kind of.
I mean, theoretically, but it accomplishes the same thing. Very cool. So first steps are going to be obviously taking apart a lot of the OEM plastics, taking all that stuff off, getting everything out of the way. Tiny, this is your first time putting hands on the car.
I don't even think I've seen one of these in person.
Okay, so this will be a little bit of a learning experience. Obviously, we've looked up some of the instructions from AMS, which are pretty good, right?
Yeah, I mean, their stuff's super easy to read through and like understand. It's all pretty intuitive. This isn't, I'd say, the most complicated thing to install. Just a lot of stuff, a lot of moving parts, I guess you could say. Yeah.
Then, so in addition to that, this is going to be the first part we're installing along with the intakes that they gave us, and we also have the EcuTech stuff somewhere over here. Here we go. EcuTech stuff ready to roll. So essentially what this will do is this will get us to our first performance level, I guess you could say, with this car. We are going to be doing the AMS RA500 package, but this will kind of be like our pit stop along the way to making that power. So stay tuned. We're going to get all the way to that point. But for now, today's video, we're installing the heat exchanger. I'll let Tiny get to work.
In retrospect, I would have did it the same. In hindsight, I'm the only one to blame. I ain't picky, I'm just real specific.
The very first part was the very first discovery on sort of how this works. This cover plate, as you call it, that covers the core support is the inlet system. So all the air that funnels through the front grille kind of naturally makes its way up into these inlets that run across the top here, and then these feed the intakes. Because I was looking at these inlet boxes, and like obviously you can see where the air is supposed to come in, and I wasn't really, like I said, I literally haven't probably even seen one of these cars on the road because I probably wasn't paying attention. Maybe this will steal my heart away from Hondas, I don't know.
We'll see.
We'll see. But yeah, this is just like a cool OEM inlet piece, like really interesting design. Also something cool that other companies could build off of, including ourselves maybe. Maybe you'll see MAPerformance, one of these.
There's probably going to be a ton of learnings that come along with taking this apart, and things that we're going to identify as opportunities and things that we want to share with you guys that we learn along the way. I'm going to let him keep tearing it apart, but I just want to make sure that we're highlighting some of our shared learnings as we go along. If you guys enjoy that, let us know down in the comments. If you don't like us sharing all this random tidbits of information and you'd like a bit more of a concise video, just let us know. But I think it's neat. I think it's interesting. So for now, I'm going to keep sharing it.
I ain't had no DJ, just the tape deck. Opened up a Son of Star Child.
So Tiny just got the air filter out of the car, the OEM one, and I think it'd be safe to say this thing's been slightly neglected. I mean, there's quite literally like dust and dead bugs in there.
Yeah, it's I'd say the upgrade is well deserved and needed.
Right? Obviously, while we're at it, I suppose I should explain, since we're going to have to take out the intakes to install the heat exchanger, we're probably going to also be installing the intakes in today's episode. Kind of just depends how far we get today on the install itself. But we are uninstalling them for sure. So Uninstalling them super easy, actually.
Yeah, I mean, really so far. These boxes, there's 2 bolts holding it to the front of the core support, and then the 2 clips holding the clamshell together, and then it's kind of a game of wiggling them apart. The AMS ones, from what I can tell after looking at them, are significantly easier to get in and out from what it seems like, because their design is a little bit different. And they don't use a panel filter, they use a pod filter, which generally makes things a lot easier. But yeah, this side is, as I suspected,
Just as nasty.
just as dirty. Like,
There's stuff falling out of it.
like even so, like most factory airboxes have a water drain in them, and like this one's pretty much plugged up because of all the crap.
Just the dust and stuff going through it. Oofda. Well, much needed upgrades. Probably good for like what, like 100 wheel right there?
I don't know about that, but definitely.
Something.
I appreciate that they use screws and not push pins all underneath this thing.
All right, you guys, so it's been a few minutes. I'm actually in a meeting right now, but Tiny's been able to go ahead and get some stuff done. I noticed there was a little bit of a leak happening over here, so I figured I'd pick up the camera and see what happened. Tiny, why don't you walk us through what we're looking at over here?
Yeah, so I think we left off taking the bumper off, I think was the last portion.
Yeah.
We left off.
Yep.
So after the bumper came off, the crash bar had to come off, which is, it's a big piece and it looks like it'd be complicated to take off, but it's actually really not. It's super easy. And then once you have that off, you kind of have the whole front end you can kind of see. So this is the factory heat exchanger for the intercooler.
Yeah, just this piece of it.
Yeah. So that's what cools the coolant that runs through the air-to-water intercooler that's mounted on the top of the engine. So this is the factory unit. Obviously, it's not big, it's not small, it's somewhere in the middle. AMS's unit, as you guys saw before, much larger, probably double the size.
At least, yeah.
At the very least. I had a little bit of an oopsie, as you maybe can tell by some of the floor dry and stuff on the ground and remnants of coolant. I accidentally pulled the hose off. It came, usually coolant hoses are a little stuck on there. This one just came right off. So that was cool, but.
And so what's left to actually get this piece out and get this new one in?
The other hose to pull off, and then it should slide out. But yeah, once this hose is off, this is all disconnected and can come out. Might spend some time cleaning out
just some of that dirt and stuff that's on there.
So that just blocks airflow, and that's the AC condenser, so that could lead to poor AC performance, and we want to be cool or looking cool and feeling cool driving fast. So clean that out.
Right on. All right, guys, so there you have it. We're gonna get a little bit more B-roll as he's uninstalling the OEM heat exchanger, and then we'll be getting the nice new AMS heat exchanger installed shortly after that. So we'll keep you guys in the loop.
Okay, so at this point, we're pretty much ready to put this back in the car. This is obviously AMS's Alpha Q package heat exchanger. A couple things that you got to do before you put it in the car. This foam tape that's included, it's exactly enough for both sides. It goes over the weld seam, just in case there's, you know, with the builds of the cars and the builds of these, there's always a little bit of, you gotta leave a little room for error. It's just what happens. So they include this so that there's no vibration or any kind of odd noises that could happen due to, building constraints and stuff like that. And then also this rubber grommet has to come off the factory one, transfer it over to here. Super simple, super easy, just stuff you want to make sure you do before you go and put it on the car, which is what I'm going to do now. It's all back in. I had to take some other stuff off just to get the AMS core in. It's a little bit bigger. Took this radiator shroud off. and kind of had Charlie help me out and push the radiator back a little bit while we slid it in. It was a tight fit, but we got it in there without damaging the core. Yeah, now all the hoses are back on, some of the trim pieces are back on, so gonna go ahead, probably throw the bumper support back on, and then maybe move on to the intakes. Last part of this is bleeding the cooling system. These have a separate, an entirely divorced cooling system for the intercooler setup, and with that it has an electric water pump, and without a factory scan tool you have to do a couple tricks to actually bleed this whole system, and it's really crucial that you do, otherwise you can damage the parts. So we'll get to that at the end, but right now we're just going to start putting stuff back together, and see you guys later.
So I guess if it's not blatantly obvious, the main reason that you would want to buy one of these for your Q60 or 50 for that matter is that in the instance where you want to start making the car actually perform better and be faster, cooling is one of the things that becomes very quickly paramount. If you look at AMS's website, you'll see the different packages that they recommend, how you install these parts to your car and what you could expect as a return as you do so. With any of the packages, the first thing that you do is install this new heat exchanger, and to my knowledge, it's one of the most frequently purchased parts for Q60s. If you guys, like I said, are interested in getting one of these for your car, plan to make it faster, or are currently in the process of making it faster, check out that link down in the description. It'll take you to the website where you can get this straight from our site. Now, obviously getting into Infinitis and Nissan, so we plan to beef up our product offerings for those platforms. If there's something you see, also let me know in the comments if we don't have that part, because there's a really, really, really good chance we can get it. All right, you guys, so now that everything's finally installed, I'm gonna have Tiny give us a quick overview of how you actually go about this, just in like a quick, concise, step-by-step format. So
yeah, the basics are removing the top plate, remove the front bumper, remove the crash support, removing this radiator and AC condenser shroud. Then you can take the stock one off. There's 3 bolts holding it on, and I think a push pin. Then it's just the hoses are off. You can slide it out of the way. Once you remove these just pull right out. And then it's the reversal to install. Essentially, you're gonna work really well having Charlie here push everything out of the way, and then sliding this new core back in.
From the driver's side.
Yeah, from the driver's side. So this weld bung right here is straight, so it's literally impossible for it to come through this opening. You have to slide it through this opening, and that's the only way to do it. And the way to minimize damaging anything, whether that be the AC condenser or this actual new heat exchanger, you have to kind of push this out of the way to give yourself enough room. It's a tight fit, but it will fit. You just kind of have to work some magic and move some stuff.
And then once you get all those lines hooked back up, essentially the only thing left to do would be to bleed the coolant system all together. Obviously requires a special tool that you'd want to use to do that. Go ahead.
To bleed this system, unless you're planning on like trailering it to a dealer, which would be my only other recommendation, unless you go out and either have this tool or purchase it, is using what's called an airlift. What it does is it puts a vacuum on the entire cooling system. You introduce the cooling system to ambient pressure, and then obviously the pressure differential will suck the coolant in and fill it entirely. They work super well. If you guys aren't familiar with them, you can use them on any cooling system, and they will fill an entire cooling system like that with minimal need to bleed anything.
Science.
Venturis. Makes the world go round. So that's what you have to use it on the system, just because unless you have the factory tool to actually turn the pump on, there's no way to cycle the coolant, and if you get a pocket stuck in there, it won't move the coolant throughout the entire system, and that'll be a very bad time for pretty much everything in the car, because it won't cool the intercooler, and it'll probably burn the pump up, and you'll be really sad and probably spend a lot of money fixing it. So it's essentially, you use that tool. Like I said, it's probably a lot cheaper to just go out and buy an airlift, even if it's like a more generic tool. I know a few companies make them. I'm sure like Mac or Snap-on make them, and I'm sure maybe even Harbor Freight, if you gotta stoop to that level, sells them. Otherwise, the Airlift brand is the one that I go with. It's a great tool, definitely worth having in your toolbox for any job, and makes filling a cooling system that much easier. I do support the burping funnel, but they are faster and way way more efficient to use that vacuum bleeder.
And so, I mean, that's again where we're gonna end it for today's video. I'm tripping all over the stuff that's over the ground here. Again, if you guys are looking for this heat exchanger for your Q50 or Q60, check out those links in the description. And just so you guys know, Instagram does prefer that you go and follow us there also. So if you follow us on YouTube, you should be following us on the gram. And finally, YouTube prefers that you give us a thumbs up. It helps us out a ton. So if you like this video, if you want to see some more Q60 stuff, leave us a huge thumbs up on the video. And if you don't mind, a comment down below, and subscribe if you haven't already, because this thing is going to be pretty gnarly. Like I said, we're going big on this one, jumping into the Nissan Infinity game. So that's where we're going to end it for today's video. Again, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you next time in the intakes video, which we're actually about to start right now, but you guys got to wait till the next video. We'll see you then. Peace.